Let's welcome Sérgio. So Sérgio has an interesting background on like data analytics and service design. So I'm really curious to see what his presentation is going to be. But Sérgio,
yeah,
floor is yours.
Thank you. Yes, while we get to the slides, Sérgio, I work in F-Secure. It's a cybersecurity company. It started in the 80s already, and we are maybe among the top 5-tier known companies in the field. But I spent my whole career as a consultant. So I was working for Frog. We have offices here in Stockholm too, Gothenburg, Malmö, and Germany, whatnot. And maybe like about 10 years ago, I was tasked with my first journey operation. So I started with a Safari. It was for the railroads in Finland. And since then, the models changed, but the work is sort of the same. I'm originally from Brazil, and I live in Finland for 15 years, where I got my PhD in culture and technology. So now being in Sweden is like beach samba and sauna and fika. But welcome to the lunch hour talk. Anybody hungry? So we already said I usually like to bring these 3 numbers. So I've been about 10,000 hours as a consultant. My targets were €1 million business a year, contributing with the team. And now with F-Secure, we're managing over 30 million journeys because we operate quite under the hood. We have B2B partners that offer security. Down. Yes. So I'll start with the personas, and this is going to be really no fluff and very objective, and I'm trying to just give actionable hints for you who are mapping journeys. So we had a lot of legacy personas in the company. It was so difficult to make it actionable. It was like we have early adopters, we have millennial with particular interests, and we just start a shift to jobs to be done. And they are based on the easiest thing that you can get from your company. It's the product. So the persona of the player mode uses the gaming features. That's their job. They need to get security for gaming. The persona of the guardian is going to work to make safe the kids' devices. The privacy person may use a few other features like Wi-Fi protection and so forth. So very actionable. Just we picked from the website and just drew out the jobs to be done. And that doesn't mean that you have to antagonize with people that are adamant to use certain kind of segmentation. You just use it for the journeys. You don't have to create this kind of dissonance. But when you goes to about service design in journey way, you can use then this segmentation of jobs to be done. So you can then, we started using the strategizer's value proposition canvas, which is very simple and very effective. So we're trying to keeping the tool stack very, very essential. And that's how we started using They-Do. Lars Nordqvist, my director, is there. He brought They-Do with ESA to the company. And I was hired as a service design lead to be the JourneyOps lead there. And we started to use 5 building blocks, which are similar but not exactly how the general way of approaching those. So we decided that needs are pains that customers have before talking to us. And pains are when something that we offer is not really working. That's pains. Some people define it differently, but that's how we wanted to define to make it very streamlined. And then there are gains, which are when things are working particularly well, that they are worth a mention. Those are gains for us. And that's the 4th card, the pressures, which is something that often we are not by default documenting. Pressures are internal pains, and they are defined by everything that happens that prevents us from solving problems to our customers. So that was something that started to be the spearhead for us when talking to different teams, because everyone wants to share when they have pressure. we don't have enough resources, we don't have enough time, we don't have the understanding of the customer pains. So we started documenting that in Daydo as well, and we immediately start getting traction because people want to follow up. They want to know if they're going to be heard de facto, and so forth. And the last one are the opportunities. So it's just how we frame problems as opportunities and up to then solutions. That's how it looks in Daydo. That's one level that we have, and we are adding metrics. And I was really happy to hear about metrics before, because we work with personas as behaviors, and then the behaviors of these personas, that's what we measure as CPIs or customer experience metrics that we use. I don't remember what CPI stand for now, but and then we have best behaviors. We have a whole book of best behaviors that are our targets. So targets being in security is a bit more than meeting the needs. We want to set the level higher because we want people to act more safely when browsing the web or opening phones or being victims of scams. About the triple diamond, there's only one thing that I'd like to highlight the way that we use, and that's coming from my research and consulting practice. It's when we started to quantify the pains that everything started to change. So the first thing you can do is to go to customer service and ask what are the most frequent calls and how much do you pay per call, because they always know what are the problems. And that can be your first way of estimating the cost of a pain, because then immediately you will have at least that amount to work on a solution. And then you can ideate, and then you can test, and then you can develop. But there are many ways that you can create a business case out of collections of pain points. So now I'd like to give you 10 ideas. I will make it brief. We don't need to use all the time, perhaps, but I would give you 10 ideas to make the journeys something that your colleagues and the company cannot really ignore. The first is to make the personas actionable. The demographics usually fall short, but you can focus on the behaviors that you want to stimulate and that are and that your services are universally accessible. There's a lot of accessibility laws coming in Europe, so it doesn't really make sense to design something that is easier for one audience or another. It should be usable by everybody, but the personas you work with should be actionable. Another thing, quantify the pain points. Start with customer care, but then you can also understand how you can build projections of how much that pain point is going to cost over a year, or you can work with accounting, you can work with externals, and even if your company works with management consulting, there's always someone that can give you a hand to understand, like, okay, how do I turn this into a business case? We are working with our own lean business case canvas for those. Another thing is that document the pressures create pull. I just said that. So recording the challenges of your colleagues is something that will get you a lot of leeway. And always ask, who else should I speak to? Because then you can really start getting to saturation, which is like the most rewarding state that you can get when you work in a big organization, that you can finally start understanding because the problems are repeating. Another thing is that it's very common to say it can't be done. We hear that a lot, but that's not really a problem, because what is happening is that you're asking the question maybe in the wrong time or in the wrong way, because often the companies have the perception that when you ask if you can make a change or something, they have to do it. But all you have to do first is to document if there's an opportunity, and then structure with the triple diamond the way of finding a solution. People often think that it's just about, like, you ask me and now I need to give you the solution. But actually it's a process that needs to be worked with a certain pace. Also, avoid pushing your own personal ideas. That is very important, because usually service designers are creative And the job is actually to listen. And there are silos, but all you can do in the beginning is to get the silos together so that they listen to one another. And then you can say, okay, so it seems that you're working the same idea, but how about we make some compromise or find a common ground? And then that's what you can document with them. Also important, and that was said here by Martin, if you run interviews, you have to keep in mind that the first person listening is the AI. So if you're recording, this is kind of a gradual process that, even in my background researching technology and phenomenology, is that we start to adapt knowing that the AI is listening. We start to make the questions more clear. And that's a process that we can benefit from in the context of journey mapping. So that's one thing. And you will notice that you can then have the journey steps much more easily mapped if you're using Dado AI or even other tools. Finally, the different roles use journeys differently. I think Giza said something to that effect, that you kind of trial and error. Like, some people want to have that their project has visibility to the whole company. They want to document the very granular UX flow, like Heidi also pointed out, that this can also be considered a journey. But some people just want to know, what is the KPI of the whole awareness phase? And if you can offer that, you can recruit people to use the journey for what they actually normally need. And that goes to the idea of creating a minimum viable journey. And by that, I mean, it's really hard work, because you need to collect a lot of pain points, a lot of insights, a lot of opportunities. And then you start getting that terror of, okay, is it this thing is going to be something that only I will or my team will look into? But once you start to create the enough, like a critical mass of pain points, how much they cost, the opportunities that you can document, then you start to create a certain gravitational pull, because it starts to be the place where everything is already. So there's a gap there that you need to wait and go for, so that you have enough content that attracts the company's attention. And then for the last tip is pursue this sell me a pen moment. That's a classic moment from Wolf of Wall Street, or kind of like broker sales pitches. So the moment that I think everybody will realize that the journeys are something that can't be ignored is when you're talking something with your colleague, you're in a meeting, you're in a one-on-one, and you say, and they ask you, can you show me what you're talking about? And the places they do. So it's in their context, it's in their interest. It's not a big presentation about how the journey works. It's like, I have this information, it's right here. So that's like the best way that I see that you can get the pool and the practice of journey mapping. So lastly, I thought that was the last one. Lastly, replace the reports with the journeys. The journey is the new report. And that is very liberating, because we're working to have, I worked with the government to help them to have a repository of insights from all sorts of data, let's say even presentations, slides, visitors, and that can be translated into an AI in SlideShare. But when it comes to customer centricity, Dado starts to be the backbone of the whole experience. So I would think that it's a very good replace for lots of PowerPoint decks that are difficult to reach. Is there one more? No, thank you.